Welcome back everyone to part 4 of our epic 2022 adventure. Today you've stumbled across us touring the Goulburn River down near Safala in midwestern New South Wales. To see how we got to this awesome spot, make sure you've checked out the previous episodes and are up to date in this epic adventure-filled series. So we're currently camped down at Little Wallaby Rocks in a beautiful riverside spot by the Goulburn River. It was our second and final night camping along the Goulburn and we were so stoked with this spot. It was such a beautiful and peaceful place. Well, we spent most of the night last night sitting around the fire and admiring the beautiful atmosphere of the bush. And well, we were super excited to do some more exploring today and take our first northern steps in this adventure. So we better get started, and now it's time to catch up with Ryan and the boys fresh at the start of day 4 down by the Goulburn. Well, good morning everyone. Here we are through the night in this awesome spot down here by the Goulburn River. So last night we had Lockie arrive and join us in the big patrol, so he's going to be out here with us for a few days, which is cool. So really excited for that. Now we're just cooking up breakfast in this spot and we're going to pack up. Now we are a full day ahead of planned schedule at the moment, so kind of unsure what we're going to be getting up to today. Really don't know. We may just continue on or we may just louse around for a day. Not quite sure yet, but anyway, yeah, really excited to have Lockie with us now, and this is a really nice spot down here. Everyone kind of enjoyed it, so yeah, we're going to cook some breakfast, chill around here for a bit, and then make up our mind on what to do for the day. Well, we cooked up some breakfast and then slowly began to pack up. Having Lockie arrive last night and the big patrol was awesome, as we had all been keen and looking forward to this trip for ages, and now the final member had arrived. Today's plan was very rough as we were a full day ahead of schedule, but we knew for sure that we wanted to head into Hilland and explore the famous old gold mining settlement at the least. It didn't take me long to have the Pajero all packed up, and the new setup made it so easy to be packed up and set up in an incredible amount of time. We were all really keen on heading out to Hilland. For those who don't know, Hilland is one of the many old gold mining towns in the area. Although Hilland is like a time capsule, the entire town is for the most part still in its historical condition and is managed by New South Wales National Parks. In order to get there though, we first had to tackle the Wallaby Rocks track. The track out of our campsite was an awesome little adventure, winding through some very rocky terrain. It's one of my favourites and has an incredible Rocky Mountain River atmosphere. At the moment, the water level was fine for us to cross, even Dad and the Ranger without a snorkel, although after some decent rain the river rises very, very quickly, and a four-wheel drive would get stuck easily and washed away if you're not careful. The Goulburn River is renowned for rising fast, so make sure to check the weather before you venture here. It's still an awesome little adventure though nonetheless.
Thanks, Jake. Yep, that's an elk.
So we've just headed up our Little Wallaby Rocks. Really excited. That was an awesome camp down in there last night. Definitely one of the best on the trip. It's going to be hard to rank them all, I can tell you so far. Another spectacular spot down there by the Goulburn River. I really love Little Wallaby Rocks. It's just one of those awesome places. So we're now, after heading out of there, on our way into Hilland. So yesterday, if we had have completed the Root Hog crossing, we would have ended up in Hilland via the bridle track. So today we're going to head from Little Wallaby Rocks, which is also near Hilland, into Hilland and give you guys a proper look around. So those people subscribed would know that I've been to Hilland many times. However, I've never given you guys an actual proper look at the place. So looking forward to doing that. And you guys get to see the history of Hilland. We'll probably spend most of the day enjoying Hilland and having a look around and just exploring the region, because there's tons to do around here if you're into history. And then I'm really not sure, maybe we'll head up towards the Goulburn River National Park, some way up there, and camp in there for the night, or maybe in around Mudgee somewhere. Who knows? We're a bit ahead of schedule, so we've got a bit of time on our hands. So today we're just going to do all of that, have a look at Hilland, and that's really all that we have planned. So really excited. So let's see how the day goes. After leaving Little Wallaby Rocks, it was only a short 30-minute drive through some beautiful country into Hilland. We were all excited to have a proper look around the famous settlement. Hilland is famous for being one of the most well-preserved gold mining ghost towns in Australia. Its streets echo of its distant past of booming streets and prospering gold mines. Today, it is a massive historical attraction and brings in thousands of people each year who come to explore and learn about an interesting time in Australian history. Well, here we are in Hilland. Just come down out of Little Wallaby Rocks. Really cool little place this. I love the drive into Hilland, all the trees over the road. It's just a time capsule. As you'll see throughout our little adventure through here and all the exploring that we do, there's plenty of stuff just like this around Hilland where literally people would have just walked out and left it at the end of the gold rush. It's just a fantastic little town. Definitely recommend it if you're in the area looking for something to do. You can spend a whole day here. There is a museum here, and also there's camping here right in the village or down the bridle track if you're really adventurous. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here properly showing you guys around Hilland. We're going to go for a walk around. We might even have something to eat here, who knows. But yeah, really excited to finally show you guys around Hilland properly. So let's get into it. The town of Hilland, surprisingly, was actually settled prior to the Australian gold rushes. The first people to settle the town were cattle farmers who identified the area as good for grazing. The town's original name was an Aboriginal word, Tambaroora. In April of 1851, the Australian gold rush began, and the idea of finding gold became more of a reasonable possibility after Edward Hargraves discovered Australia's first profitable gold stream in Ophir, which is slightly southwest of at that time Tambaroora. Within weeks of the initial discovery in Ophir, Tambaroora was one of the many towns that sprung to life, with fortune-seeking gold miners flocking to the rolling hills of the New South Wales Midwest. The site of Hilland was actually a suburb of then Tambaroora that was named Bald Hills. As time went on, the town grew and eventually changed its name to Forbes, although there was a slight problem. There was already another locality with the same name, and so one of them had to be changed. Eventually, there was a town petition, and the town decided to change its name to Hilland, which is what we know it as today. Competition between the now Hilland and Tambaroora was always strong, although in 1872 Hilland took over as the dominant gold mining settlement and Tambaroora faded away over the next few years. At its peak, Hilland had an estimated population of 30,000 people, including those operating in the gold mines surrounding the town. There are as many as 5 provinces that fed off the Hilland goldfields, stretching as far down as Roothog in the south and Green Valley in the north. In its prime, there were around 51 hotels registered in Hilland in any given year, some streets having as many as 17 hotels on the one street. Some lasted the test of time and others were only around for a short period of time. The year 1872 was peak time for Hilland and many world records were broken by the town. In October of 1872, the world's largest single mass of gold was unearthed at Hawkins Hill, which is right next to the Hilland township. Today Hawkins Hill is the initial climb on the bridle track when entering from the Hilland side. This unearthing of an estimated 3,000-ounce single piece of gold immortalised Hilland into history. It also caused a large influx of hopefuls looking to make their fortune, but by late 1873, hope was slimming more and more by the day. Slowly, Hilland shrank as people left the once fortune-filled goldfields, and eventually the town reduced to its current size, a mere shell of its former glory. Today the town is a tourist hub with many thousands of people coming each year to see the town and visit some of these incredible sites. Around the town of Hilland now, there are hardly as many structures as there used to be. In fact, almost all of them are gone. Although if you walk around the town, there are signboards everywhere, and on these boards is a photo and a short description of what used to stand in the place of the board. A very interesting and worthwhile walk. There is also a museum that holds some artifacts from the gold period, giving you a look into the past and what life was like as a Hilland gold miner. There is one pub remaining from the 51 registered back in the town's heyday, as well as a small cafe. An incredibly interesting town where a few days could be spent exploring and learning about the history of Hilland. So we're just going past now the Hilland village campsite here in Hilland. I have done a campground showcase on this campground, so if you want to see all about that, make sure you go and check that out on the channel. But as you can see, it's absolutely packed. When I did the showcase, it was completely empty because no one was allowed to camp there, but this place does get fairly busy, so definitely go check that out. It's definitely worth a stay if you're in the area. So here we are at the museum in Hilland. This little museum behind me here is full of mining memorabilia from back in the day in the gold rush. It's absolutely worth your time to come out here and visit this museum. If you are going to come out here, I do recommend this be one of your first stops because it's just full of information on the area, and then you'll be ready to walk around the rest of the town full of information, knowing exactly what everything is. There's an old mining cart and stuff in there. Really cool. Like I said, well worth your time if you're going to come out here. The Hilland Heritage Centre is located right in the middle of town, opposite the pub and right next to the cafe. Inside there is a vast amount of information on the town as well as some artefacts from the town's heyday. It really gives you a good look at what life would have been like living in Hilland back in the day. There's also an informative movie on repeat that tells you about the story of Hilland. There's a large portrait over the floor of what the town looked like in its prime, as well as another informative movie that's played in a small room that has a glass floor. If you look down, you can actually see a mine shaft beneath your feet. A really cool experience. Now take a look at some of the footage that we got inside the Heritage Centre. It's such an awesome place and absolutely worth a visit. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that little look around at Hilland and all the information and stuff about the town. Really top destination. I absolutely recommend that you guys come and check it out. We're now going to just quickly head into Mudgee for some fuel, and then we'll be heading out to the Goulburn River National Park for the night, either staying there at Spring Gully or Big River. Not sure yet, but that's the plan. So we'll head in, get some fuel, and then be on our merry way. The drive into Mudgee takes no longer than 45 minutes. Now, for those of you who don't know, I actually live in Mudgee, and it's really awesome having such an amazing destination such as Hilland so close to home. Not only is there incredible history, but plenty of camping and exploring to do in the region. The drive back is full of amazing scenery, and the Mudgee region is absolutely beautiful. There are rolling hills all round, similar to what we've had for the last few days. Mudgee is nestled right in behind a mountain range and is one of the larger towns in the area. It's a tourist mecca and a lot of people visit Mudgee every single year. In fact, Mudgee was Australia's top tourist town in 2021 and one of the top 10 growing tourist destinations in the world. Our stay in Mudgee wouldn't be long though, as we just grabbed some fuel and then headed right on north. Alrighty, so there we have it. We're all fueled up and heading out of Mudgee now up towards the Goulburn River ways. It's a really spectacular region, the Goulburn River region, and we're all really excited to find a spot there and set up. At the moment we're a little bit earlier than the last couple of days, so we may have a little bit of time on our hands at camp, which is going to be really cool. The last couple of days we've been just setting up, and by the time we cook dinner and get that packed up, well, it's just been about time for bed. So looking forward to a bit of time just to kick back and chill around for a while. Goulburn River is a really peaceful place, so yeah, looking forward to that. So let's get on with it and head out to that region. The Goulburn River National Park was an all-time favourite of mine. It's a beautiful place, perfect for just chilling out and enjoying the leisurely side of camping. There's no difficult four-wheel driving around, just some nice scenery and of course the Goulburn River. It was an hour-and-a-half drive from Mudgee through some absolutely beautiful terrain. It's one of the more secluded and less known about national parks in the region. There are just 2 marked campgrounds and only one way in or out. Tonight we will be aiming to stay at Spring Gully Campground, which is the only campground that I hadn't stayed at before in the Goulburn River National Park. It has far more open space for a larger group like us compared to the Big River Campground, and we were aiming to continue our trend of camping away from others. And we had a far better chance of achieving that at Spring Gully Campground compared to the smaller Big River. Alright, so we're almost into the Goulburn River National Park. However, we've had a slight dilemma. This coal train has literally stopped over the crossing, and so now we can't go forward to camp until this train moves. Yeah, so we're stuck here. Might as well set up camp here, I guess. What a place to stop. This coal train stopped over the crossing with merely 10 carriages to go before the end of the train. We couldn't believe our luck. What we were planning to be a relaxing afternoon at camp looked like it was going to be spent here, and to make it even worse, plenty of time passed and the train still didn't move at all. We sat there waiting for this train to move for over 45 minutes, and then finally we would be on our merry way. Well, so much for going to camp and relaxing this arvo. We're still waiting for this train. Damn. Once the train finally moved, we powered on down to the Goulburn River National Park. We were looking forward to tonight's camp as the weather was absolutely perfect for a nice afternoon sitting around relaxing. The Goulburn River National Park is one of the larger national parks in the area. It's great for more low-key camping activities and is perfect for those seeking a relaxing adventure. There are only 2 campgrounds in the Goulburn River National Park, Spring Gully and Big River. Now, contradictory to their names, Spring Gully is the larger of the 2 campgrounds, and that is where we are aiming to camp tonight. There isn't all actually that much to do in the Goulburn River National Park besides admire the scenery. Depending on the water level of the river, it is possible to kayak, and there are also some nice hiking trails that can be found. Despite its size, there's only one road into the Goulburn River National Park, and it's a fairly easy trek. It wasn't long at all until we had arrived. So we finally made it down into Spring Gully. Absolutely beautiful little spot down here, so peaceful in the Goulburn River National Park. I love this region so much. There's not an awful lot of four-wheel driving, but it is just incredibly peaceful. It's just one of those spots where you could literally sit around and not do much for a few days. So we're going to just have a quick look around and just try and find a camp spot in there. This is where we are supposed to be staying for tonight, and so yeah, really excited for it. Although there's a fair few people here, I'm sure that we'll make it work. So we've found a campsite here in the Goulburn River National Park. Actually managed to get away from people, which is good. It's exactly what we're aiming for. So the rest of the campground's way back down there, and we've got this nice spot to ourselves up here, which is really good. A little bit far away from the water, but that's no biggie. Nothing a little walk won't fix if we want to go for a swim. So now we're just going to set up and hopefully have a relaxing afternoon. The Goulburn River National Park, as said before, is a much lesser known about and visited national park. The park covers over 70,000 hectares of pristine land and was formed in 1983. As mining began in the Mudgee region, the government deemed the land of the now National Park too precious, both environmentally and culturally, to be sold off to be mined. Thus the Goulburn River National Park was formed. Now there are some really culturally significant places in the national park to the local Wiradjuri people, including the drip and hand paintings on the walls of the surrounding rocks. It didn't take us long to have camp set up. We had snagged an awesome camp spot on the north end of Spring Gully Campground. It's almost like this spot was made for us as we were away from all the other people. It was also Lockie's first night testing out his new touring setup in the patrol. It was also his first night joining us on the trip. Now to my surprise, the campground was fairly full, as usually when I've adventured here in the past there's been no one else around. We weren't complaining though, as we got dinner on and sat around admiring the beautiful scenery of the Goulburn River. So really pleased with the camp that we've gotten here in the Goulburn River National Park, here at Spring Gully Campground. It's absolutely beautiful, and even though there's quite a few people around, we've actually managed to snag a spot all to ourselves, which we really didn't think was going to happen, but we're so pleased that it did. Now tonight is actually really important. So we've had a great turnout for weather in the last few days over this trip, and we're still a full day ahead of the planned schedule, and this is really important because it's scheduled to storm for the next week after tonight in some regions of New South Wales, in particular the one that we're heading to. Supposedly it's already storming in the Barrington Tops, and that was tomorrow's plan, was to go from here to Scone and then into the Barrington Tops. Few-hour drive, I know, but it was going to be well worth it. We're going to play it out tonight and just see if we get any weather here in this region, and then I guess we are going to make our way still over there. However, if it is really bad, we may not go into the Barrington Tops. We may have to drive around it and just assess how things go. So definitely not going to pull the pin. We are all still very committed to having a nice good long adventure. However, if it's really wet, we're not going to be able to get anywhere in the Barringtons. It's going to be a very miserable time in there. So fingers crossed everything plays out and things start to clear up for us in that direction. But I guess it will all depend tonight. If we start to get rain here, then we may reconsider things and just head north. We do kind of have a little bit of a backup plan for extreme wet weather, which is what this is looking like. But like I said just then, fingers are crossed that everything plays out. And I mean, it's said before on weather apps that it was supposed to storm for entire days at a time, and it never did in our experience. So fingers are really crossed, hoping for the best here, but we're really excited to have had a good few days so far, and this absolutely beautiful camp here in the Goulburn River National Park. Show you guys around a little bit more, and as well as I will be doing campground showcases on Spring Gully and Big River, so make sure you subscribe over to Next Level Adventures to see all the information on these two campgrounds. They are sister campgrounds, so we're in Spring Gully. If you follow this track over here behind me a little bit more, it takes you down to Big River. Both really beautiful, peaceful spots. Anyway, give you guys a quick look, then we'll get on with dinner. was time for us to sit around and enjoy the tranquility of the bush by the fire. We were all super happy to have everyone finally here camping again after so long. What an incredible spot we were blessed to have. Now we just had to cross our fingers and hope that we would wake up in the morning with a blue sky and that the rest of the trip would continue to go to plan. Oh, good morning guys. We've had no rain last night here in the Goulburn River National Park, which was great. However, if you look at the sky, it's quite clear that it is coming. So we are going to be still continuing on up into Scone today. And if when we get to Scone, we're going to reassess. And if it's like this, then we'll continue on as normal. However, if it's raining there and the conditions are no good, then we're going to actually head west out towards Tamworth instead, out that way, and stick to the highway and do a few main destinations until the rain clears, and then hopefully finish off the trip as planned on one of the beaches or something like that. Not really too sure. So far, all that I know, all that we have planned, is that we're going to be heading into Scone and reassessing the weather situation there. Might cook up some lunch there or something like that, and then if it's good, we're going to be heading up into Little Murray as planned. If not, then we're going to be heading out west. The aim is to a little place called Wallabadah. So yeah, really looking forward to either option, to be honest. And we're going to get on with packing up because we had a bit of a sleep in today, and then we'll be on the road. With rain looming, there was a large amount of uncertainty surrounding our trip plans. Regardless of what we decided to do, today would be a big day of driving with a few hundred kilometres in front of us to get to either destination. So we got on with packing up so that we could get on the road. We packed up swiftly as we knew it could start raining at any minute, and we were not prepared to be packing up in the rain just yet. Our first stop for today would be in Scone. From there, we will be assessing the weather scenario and making a decision on where to stay. Today's decision would influence the rest of the trip. If we decided to not head into the Barrington Tops, we would have to alter the entire remainder of the trip. Although they say the best adventures you have are the unplanned ones, so regardless, we were happy to plough on either way. As we were packing up, one of the locals must have smelt breakfast cooking and came by to say g'day. This was a massive goanna, one of the largest ones that I've ever seen. It was really cool to see him come out and walk around the camp. He walked around like he owned the place. Well, so we're all pretty much packed up, and now it's time to hit the road to Scone and see what it's like there. After packing up, we hit the road pretty swiftly. The drive to Scone was around 165 kilometres through some windy roads up the Bylong Valley Way. It was an absolutely spectacular drive with some amazing gorge-like scenery surrounding us for parts of the drive. Now there are two ways that you can go, up the Bylong Valley Way and up an alternative route. It is recommended that you do not go up this alternative route as the road conditions are pretty haphazard. Now this drive would occupy most of the middle of the day, and by the time we arrived in Scone, it would be time to find somewhere for lunch. So far, every meal we have had on this adventure has been in the bush, so we were really excited to have lunch at the pub. It would mark the first for this trip. As we were driving along, we got another glimpse at a massive coal train, similar to the one that stopped over the crossing the previous day, stopping us from entering the Goulburn River National Park. With plenty of major mines in the Mudgee and Hunter Valley region, large coal trains are no strange sight, and just get a look at the length of this one. The roads often loop and cross the railroad many times. Hopefully though today we don't have any more stop over the railroad crossing. For the whole drive we were constantly monitoring the weather. As we got closer and closer to Scone, it was nearing decision time, and we really did not want to make the wrong one. So we're in Scone now, and the idea was we're going to come here and then assess the weather and then go either into the Barringtons or head out further west. And the weather here is pretty miserable. We've had a few patches of rain as we were driving in, and so it looks like that we're going to be heading out west because it's forecast to storm later on today. And the sky is very, very dark. So what we're going to do is probably head out west to Wallabadah, a little free camp there next to the First Fleet Memorial out near Tamworth. As one of Dad's old spots. He used to go there heaps when we used to travel out in this region, and so from there we'll probably go into Tamworth, do the touristy stuff, and then make our way out west to in Coffs Harbour direction. At least that's the plan anyway. So now we've just finished lunch in Scone, so we're going to be heading out in the general direction of Tamworth. We're going to be staying in Wallabadah tonight, and then after that we'll just reassess and see where we end up. Pretty keen though, so let's hit the road. Well, now the decision was made, and as we drove out of Scone, we were pretty confident that we had made the right choice. The Barrington Tops is really a place for dry weather, and it would have been very risky for us to stay up there for multiple days like planned in the rain. We'd already experienced dealing with washed out tracks back in the Gardens of Stone in episode 2, and safe to say, we were not prepared to deal with that again. Shortly after exiting Scone, we were hit with an intense storm cell that required us to slow right down. It was looking like a wet afternoon for us. From Scone, it was just short of an hour's drive to the small town of Wallabadah. Now, just off the highway, there's a free camp in this town that Dad has been using for years on his adventures through this region, so I thought it was only fitting for us to head back almost a decade after our last time visiting here. Righto, so we've made it to Wallabadah. We've chosen to camp next to the First Fleet Memorial, like I said, an old favourite spot of Dad's that I used to camp when we used to come through this area. It actually is pretty full in here. There's a fair few people around. That's alright. We just managed to beat the storm, it looks like. We're on the outskirts of it. So we're going to get set up, hopefully before we get wet, and then just chill around here for the night, and then basically devise a plan for the next few days. But yeah, let's give you guys a quick look around before we set up. The First Fleet Memorial at Wallabadah is a popular spot for those who like a nice place to stop over on their way through to Tamworth. It's popular for those who like to take the inland route to Queensland as well, completely bypassing the coastal highways. With only a little bit of highway noise and a creek running through, it will be an awesome base camp to explore the Tamworth area for a few days. We would only be stopping here tonight as we had plans to head further north before heading east over the next couple of days. So this is a top little spot here. It's not too far out of Tamworth, and they even have showers available here and toilets, and all they ask is this, for a small $10 donation, and that's it. It's a really popular spot, it seems, for permanent travellers, people with caravans and stuff like that. And yeah, there is a memorial garden here for the First Fleet, which we'll have a look at probably early in the morning. But yeah, it's a top little spot. I'm just hoping that we don't get rained on too heavily while we're here. Now it's time to set up, hopefully before the rain catches up. It's just starting to sprinkle now, so fingers crossed we can get it all set up before then. Times like this is where the Pajero setup stands out from the rest. With the quick setup rooftop tent and 270-degree awning, I had the most room to move around under shelter, as the others all had to put their swags under the awnings. Now in this scenario, Tomsy's swag was going under my awning, but still, even with that there was still enough room for the two of us to move around, no dramas in the rain. We were all rushing around trying to get our awnings out as quickly as possible and trying to have all the swag set up before the rain caught up. This afternoon will be a cool afternoon for us to sit around and relax. We were also expecting a visitor later on in the afternoon, as Josh from Reset Adventures was heading out to join us for a night. And we just beat the rain, as it just started bucketing down after we all set our awnings up, so lucky we got a little bit of shelter. Just working out water drainage now on the awnings, and we'll just be setting up and chilling around for a little while. We actually got to camp really early today. It's only 4 o'clock compared to our normal 6 o'clock arrivals that we're used to having. It just sucks that it's raining, so we'll just be sitting around and enjoying ourselves. This little camp spot here is really cool, so I might even do a little campground showcase on Wallabadah here. It was a, like I said many times now, we used to come here a lot when we used to be travelling in this area, and it's good to actually come back here, but it's been about 10 years almost, and the place, it really hasn't changed all that much. So there is not much to do around here. We're not far from Tamworth though, so we'll probably head into Tamworth tomorrow, and this afternoon we're going to be putting together a little plan, so when we leave Tamworth tomorrow we know exactly what we're doing. So excited for that. But yeah, just really lucky that we beat the rain, so yeah, well, Dad's finally setting up now after all the rain bucketing down. He is running the crash pad swag and stretcher combo for this trip. He's liking it a lot. Well, I'm still up in the wildlands, and everybody else is just running the old trusty King's Big Daddy Deluxe swag, except Tomsy, who's in the coffin over there, a little old Lost Trail. And yeah, everything is kind of going well so far. Fingers crossed everything continues to go well. How nice is this little creek down here by the campsite in Wallabadah? It's flowing beautifully. And I think the boys are keen for a swim. I know Jake's just gone and get his swimmers. Lockie just went for a quick dip. So yeah, great spot. Oh, here he comes, man of the hour, back up there. Here he comes. Just get ready for a dip. Oh, Jake's in. He's keen. Even though it's just been absolutely pissing down, it's actually pretty humid. We've had a pretty hot day coming all the way from Goulburn River, so I guess he's happy.
He's not your habitat.
Well, the boys enjoyed their short swim down in the creek. As said, even though it had been raining, the temperature was still pretty high, and the humidity was certainly high. It was cool to see so much water in this little creek. Just a few years ago, this creek, as well as many others in the area, would have been bone dry due to the drought. It didn't take long, though, before the rain caught back up with us, although we weren't going to let that ruin the afternoon. Still sitting through a miserable afternoon of rain, but Josh has arrived from Reset Adventures here finally. He's made really good time, actually, surprised us all. Must have been flying through there, but yeah, he's got a really cool setup. Actually sold the rooftop tent just after his high country trip. I was expecting him to rock up, you know, full blaze, ready for a rooftop camp, but no, he'll be rolling the swag out tonight. So Ed, say good day.
Hi.
Anyway, he'll be staying with us for the next couple of days, and see him. Hopefully we get a bit of clearer weather turnout and everything's good. But make sure you go follow him on Instagram over at Reset Adventures and see what he gets up to. So now we're just going to set up and avoid the rain. The rain was absolutely bucketing down, but we weren't quite out of luck yet. Just as chance would have it, Josh actually had the solution to all of our wet weather problems. That's right, we whipped out the big Drifter Stockton Hexatarp as soon as we got the chance. Josh purchased this awesome bit of kit after seeing the mighty Shad Donahue's son Owen with one on a camping trip. Josh said he just had to get it before his high country trip, and I'm telling you, I'm glad he did, as it was going to come in handy for us this afternoon. For something so large, I was surprised as to how small it packed down and how quickly it set up. This thing was awesome, and as soon as we got it set up, everyone rushed under to seek shelter from the oncoming rain. How good's this thing, this Drifter Stockton Hexatarp? Awesome. You know, we were just talking about this before, right? Both of us seen this when Shad had it up at a camp that we went to, Shad Donahue, and we were like, and I was like, damn, I wish I had one right now. And then Josh turns up and he was like, yeah, I bought it after I seen it. After Shad had it. Like, yeah, well, we both had the same idea, except he actually bought one and I didn't. So here it is set up. This thing's awesome, and it packs down into a pretty small bag, so I think this might be a good investment for me in the future with group trips. I guess now everybody has to come together and socialise, but that's good. That's what we're here for. Even though we've been stuck with each other for like a week, we're still going to do that. Well, everyone came together and we will be spending the rest of the afternoon sheltering from the rain under the Hexatarp. For a change tonight as well, we decided that we would cook over the fire, as Josh had brought along his little portable fire pit. This is something that we don't do often here at Next Level Adventures, so it was an awesome treat. It's a bit of a change tonight. We decided to cook on the fire. We forced everyone to socialise tonight under Josh's Hexatarp.
He's already got him.
So, yeah, nice little fire pit there. He's cooked steak over the coals. And the weather is finally coming out too, so really excited for that. I'm just going to chill for the rest of the night. Well, that's going to sum up part 4 of this epic adventure. Make sure if you haven't already to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed, so you don't miss the next episode, as well as to head over to the channel to catch up on the previous episodes so you're all up to date. And as always, we will see you next week for episode 5, where we begin to head northeast.